BCHS Barrett Network. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey. Today we're talking with one of our good friends, head coach of the Bradley Wrestling Program, which is a phenomenal program, Mr. Ben Smith. Ben, the first thing I ask you, though, you and your lovely wife, Sarah, have got a little one on the way. When is the baby due?
Well, I'm trying to keep that under wraps right now.
Well, you don't have to say if you don't want to.
No, but it's January 23rd, which just happens to fall on the night of our big district match with Soddy Daisy. So we're hoping that she stays in as long as she can, but you know, that night I think we'll be okay with or without me, but I sure hope I can be there.
Well, those babies have a way of coming when they want to. You know, it's not really up to mom and dad, at that point.
No, them and the Lord.
Yes, that's correct. And is it a boy or girl? Do you know yet?
It's a girl.
It's a girl. All right. So, okay. Here in this area, obviously, I want to ask you a question about why it's so strong here. But first, let's get your background here. You wrestle here at Bradley. Tell us who you wrestle for and what weight class and so forth.
Sure. Yeah, I started in the 7th grade at Truett. I wrestled for Chief at Truett and wrestled for him and Coach Snable for a while. And then Coach Belcher took over my freshman year at Truett. And then I came here and wrestled for Coach Jackson as an assistant, Coach Logsden's the head coach. And then that was right about the time Brittany was getting pretty involved in basketball, so I was able to have Coach Raper as an assistant my senior year. But I was 119 and 130 and 130 because we only had 3 years at Bradley that time.
That's right.
Still.
That's true.
So I was fortunate enough to wrestle for those guys, and now I'm blessed to be able to coach here now. So.
Well, I tell you what, you couldn't ask for better coaches there, and you look at our history and our legacy with Turner Jackson, Steve Lodson, Chad Laxton, yourself. You talk about this the winningest wrestling program in the state with 26 team titles, and I don't have many individual titles we had. It's in the 40s or something.
69.
69.
I counted it the other day.
Wow.
194 state medalists and 69 individual state champions.
Goodness gracious. What is it in this area that just makes wrestling so strong? I mean, you go through this county to win a state. Bradley and Cleveland back and forth year after year, seems like, and everybody knows, hey, we got to beat Bradley, we got to beat Cleveland to get there. And sometimes it's us in the finals, the two teams in there. Several times it's happened.
Well, I think we've been in the state finals against Cleveland. If I had to guess, it's somewhere between 8 and 12 times, I would say at least.
It's incredible.
You know, yeah, it's pretty neat. I think that a lot of that goes back to Alan Morris, who's at Walker Valley now, under the guidance of Coach Jackson and Coach Logs. And I can't remember whose brainchild it was to start the kids club, but if I say Coach Logsden, Coach Jackson will get upset. If I say Coach Jackson, Coach Logsden will get upset.
Give them both credit.
So I give
co-founders.
them both credit, but we had a kids club program before anybody, on top of the fact that we had a guy like Turner Jackson, and not really a wrestling-rich area of the South that actually cared about the sport, and really wanted to put it on the map. A lot of people say, Heath Esslinger says, you can't be a tour guide to a land you've never been. Well, we had a guy named Coach Jackson who's two-time been there, done that. Two-time national champion for UTC, Olympic, wrestled competitively up for 8 years past his collegiate, eligibility. And man, guys like him, and then he brings in Coach Logsden, and who, after about 6 or 7 years of getting this program going, and then by the time mid-90s come through with the kids club pumping and feeding, it just kind of was a beast.
It's a perpetual thing,
It just kind of continued to grow, and so I got to be a very small part of the kids club. I mean, I was at Truett, and I always thought the kids club when I first started wrestling was just for Bradley Junior kids, and so the first year that it was in existence, I didn't go because I thought it was a Bradley Junior thing. But once we got plugged in, man, it was.
Who's over the kids club program now?
Now?
Yeah.
Now it's Coach Logsden.
Coach Logsden's back on there. Can't get him out of that wrestling, can we?
Well, he did.
Don't want to.
He did for a couple years, and he had to live life and enjoy not being a coach for a while, which I feel like I can relate to a little bit now after being here a while. But he's got a grandson or two, and we needed some help on the kids club front. Cleveland's done a great job of closing that gap on us and surpassing us, and we go back and forth with them a lot. But their kids club is really pumping, and we needed to go back to the drawing board. And Coach Logsden is
he's the man.
When you got a guy that's won 20 state titles coaching your kids, it's just a matter of time.
Pretty much knows what he's doing there, doesn't he?
I would say so. He's forgotten more wrestling than I know.
one of the things that I notice, and if you come to Bradley Wrestling like we do, and you notice, you've got a lot of guys who wrestle in this program that want to come back and be a part of that program, helping and coaching, or just being there to assist, or just want to be a part of it. They cannot give it up, and that means so much to you as a coach and to the program overall, that these guys are willing to give their time to come back and help out.
That's right. It's unbelievable. I mean, I feel blessed and fortunate. I enter in my ninth, which that's hard to say, my ninth season as a head coach. I've got, outside of Coach Anglin, who we stole from Georgia and Alabama, every coach that we have on staff, whether it be faculty or non-faculty, is a product of our program, and myself included. And you know, Coach Jackson and Principal Spangler give me a hard time when I turn in my non-faculty list, but you know, if we want to background check our guys and make sure that they can be in the room legally and not break rules, when I turn in 15 or 16 names of alumni that want to wrestle, man, A, they help our kids, and B, they just want to give back because, you know, after 40-something years, I think we started in 1973, that's a lot of lives that have been impacted by this program. And we try to preach give back like Coach Logsdon did with us. Like if something's done something for you, you try to give back to it. And we have, I mean, man, I was sorting out coaches' gear at my house last night that I've got to hand out, and I've got 16 or 17 sets of polos and dry fits that I've got to hand out. And these guys, they work for free. They just want to be a part of it and get some gear along the way and change lives like theirs were changed.
Glad to have them be a part of that program.
That's right.
Let's look at this team this year now. We
Sure.
go into the 2019-20 season. How many returners do you have coming back in the different weight classes? And there's 14 weight classes.
We have 14 weight classes. We've got, give or take, anywhere from 7 to 9 returners. Now, of course, we haven't had challenge matches, so I can't slot those guys in. They do that themselves. But I've got nine guys who have seen varsity action for at least a semester.
Okay.
2 of those are returning state medalists, Ethan Wilson at 106 and Glenn O'Daniel at 113 pounds. Returning senior starters, just off the top of my head, Tyrone McDonald, who could be anywhere between 170 and 182. And then Gavin Sewell, who's descended all the way down. He's went from heavyweight to 220, and now he's down to 195. Those are some key elders on the team. And I've got some state qualifiers that snuck in there at the end of the season. We had to kind of shuffle and run after the state duels last year, but I've got, like I said, I would project at least half of our lineup would have some kind of varsity, if not state duels or state qualifier experience.
Well, you talked about the challenge match. I like to get into that because a lot of people don't know that. You may start out the season in this month and have, okay, here's the guys we're going to start with because they seem to be the best at what we're trying to accomplish here. But then during the course of the year, you may have challenge matches. Okay, whatever weight class you're in, this guy here is doing really good in practice or he's maybe needs a shot at. So I could lose my starting position if I were a starter in a challenge match. Is that how it works out?
Yeah. So we have 2 sets of challenge match a year. I've got a clause in there for a 3rd set if needed. And that's kind of based on a college approach to doing things. But typically we challenge 2 out of 3. And you know, if there's 4 guys in a weight class, then we seed the tournament out, and it's 2 out of 3 all the way through to the end. And then we'll challenge before the season starts. We'll let them have that semester, so it gives them some confidence, some consistency. Hey, we believe in you for these next 4 or 5 weeks. You're our guy. You know, they get that varsity experience. And then we challenge again after Christmas. One of the unique things about wrestling is we have a 2-pound growth allowance at Christmas. So, and through the attrition of the season, a lot of these guys will descend as the season progresses, and then they get this 2-pound growth allowance. So we'll shuffle our lineup up some at Christmas, and guys will descend, and guys will get hurt, and some guys will quit. And,
and life goes on.
Yeah, but the second set of challenge matches, if you win that second set of challenge matches, you're our guy. Now, I had a situation a couple years ago where we had a guy that was ranked 2nd in the state. At the time, he got beat in challenge matches by a backup. And he may or may not have been the best guy for our lineup, but we ran with it because that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
We lost the state title by 2.5 points. So I threw in a clause moving forward. You know, sometimes you got a guy that can perform really well in practice and in challenge matches, and then sometimes has a hard time performing underneath the lights. So I threw in that. I've never had to use it, but I've invoked, like it's there, you know, before region if needed. If there's not, if you're struggling with weight, grades, academics, social, or you're just struggling to win matches.
Well, I tell you, go ahead.
No, then sometimes we might have 3, but we've never had to do that.
Yeah. You mentioned under the lights. I mean, if you've not been to Bradley Wrestling, shame on you for one thing.
Shame
but
on
come, we drop that center light. It's a single spotlight, and when that music starts, I forget the name of that song y'all play.
Lunatic Fringe, Vision Quest.
And they come out and they start circling and throw those
Headgear.
and jump in. That gives you cold chills, man.
Every time.
It's something to see there. I encourage you to come and see it. Let's talk about your upcoming season now. You have in-season tournaments that you will host. The Bear Invitational, is that what it's called?
Bradley Invitational.
You got a lot of teams coming with that, don't you?
Yeah, we won't say too many because Coach Jackson gets a little nervous when I see how many teams we have coming. But that's our biggest fundraiser of the year.
Yep. And you've got mats upstairs on both sides, downstairs. I mean, there's not a square inch of floor on the.
Yeah, 6 mats. We're trying to squeeze 7 in there, but we'll see. You know, when I took over, that was just kind of one of the competitive things I wanted to do was to grow our tournament to be one of the biggest on that weekend in the state, and I think we've done that. We do compete against McCallie on that weekend, so I just like saying that our tournament's more competitive than theirs and bigger and better, and it's just kind of the Bradley way. But
when will that take place now?
That's December 20th and 21st, and now we're still in that Sunday too because we're hosting a kids tournament that next day. Coach Logsdon and I are. But yeah, we'll have schedule-wise. I mean, I've probably schedules always seem to they sound a lot better in theory when you're scheduling them and in the spring. But now that I've looked at our schedule and it's pretty tough.
You'll be going out of state again.
We're going out of state. We open up at Hewitt-Trussville in Birmingham, and then we go from there to a big tournament in Mountain View. We've not quite had the success we wanted to there, so we're not leaving there until we accomplish what we want to there. And then we go up to Tullahoma the weekend before us. We want to see that mid-state competition. And then we host, and then we travel after Christmas to Father Ryan, see our good friends up there, and then Fandetti and Johnson City the following weekend, and then we focus in on our region competition after that.
Let me ask you this, something we've never had here before at Bradley Central, it's female wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we stand with that? I mean, do you have a young lady that's going to wrestle this year?
Yeah, we do. We have her name's Abigail Beasley. I stole her out of my weightlifting class, and I stole her from the JROTC program. She's the first female that's made it through our 9-week. We've never not had girls wrestling. We don't have a specific team. But
oh, okay.
Our rule is if you want to wrestle, we don't try it out. We don't have tryouts, but we have a 10-week preseason. If you're not playing a fall sport, then you have to make it. You have to come to preseason. She's the first girl that's ever made it through preseason. She'll start practice today for the first time, and I believe she'll make it. And I hope that she is I hope she's a catalyst for the growth of girls wrestling in our area because it's a TSSAA sport. It's on its way to being an NCAA sport. It's already an Olympic sport. So the trend in wrestling, the growth of wrestling overall. Is not just in the small school bracket, but it's also in female wrestling. So hopefully Abby will be the catalyst for us here.
Today being November 4th when we record this, it is the first official day of TSSAA practice allowed in basketball as well as wrestling. And I think you're a little fired up about that, aren't you?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm excited. It's my favorite time of the year.
Well, let me ask you this too, another question. We're going to wrap things up here in a moment. But you're still in great shape. I've seen you doing a lot of things athletically here at Bradley and riding the bike and just endless miles, seems like, whatever. Do you practice with their guys?
I do.
Do you?
I do. Well, in the words of Coach Jackson, round is a shape, so everybody's in shape. But yeah. I mean, I've got a list of guys.
Can they beat you though?
No. I may be 40. I may be right at 40, but it ain't time yet.
You got a list of guys you started saying?
I got a list of guys. Yeah, you know, the beauty of our sport, it's hands-on. You know, and in the words of Heath Esslinger, and I think he stole it from Robert Greene, but you can't be a tour guide to a land you've never been.
Yep.
And I believe that true leadership is not just through positive disposition and just genuine care for people, but I believe it's lead by example. And I've got a group of guys with myself, like Coach Jackson, Coach Logsdon, and every assistant that we've had here that, to my knowledge, we're not afraid to lift, sweat, run, bike, whatever. We're not going to ask them to do something we can't do, won't do, or haven't done. That's our philosophy.
wrestling to me is one of those sports. Unlike football or even basketball, you could have a weak link and you can sort of hide them over in a different part of the program or the game or whatever.
Yeah.
Wrestling is such a mental game. It is one-on-one. It is you and nobody else out there. Gets that one guy with the whole world watching you wrestle. Right. And it's a mental discipline as much as anything. You got to maintain weight. You got to work out on your own. It's not like it is a team sport, true.
For sure.
But you have your chance to shine.
That's it.
And you better be ready, right?
It mimics life in the fact that you can't hide.
Right.
You know, you've got to learn how to handle adversity. You've got to learn how to handle, with humility, success. And it's like everything else. I mean, like, you know, these young men and women now that we have, they're all going to be husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, employees, employers. I mean, like, think of our life now. Like, all we're doing is juggling. And how good do we juggle things? And these guys, they're juggling weight. They're juggling academics. They're juggling the pressure of their knucklehead coach who wants them to win. You know, they're juggling, you know, peer pressure.
Yeah.
And then you're out there by yourself. You make a mistake, it's on you. You know, and it just happens to be in front of God, your mom, and your girlfriend too, along the same lines. It's tough, and you're wearing spandex. I mean, so it's a humbling, life-changing experience. I think everybody should be a part of. You know, as a teacher, I think everybody needs to be a kindergarten teacher. I think everybody needs to work in the attendance office. I think everybody needs to do these things to understand how difficult it is. Even in athletics, I think as children, at some point in an athletic journey, you need to wrestle just to experience that one-on-one. It is you and nobody. Nobody can make excuses for you type environment. Because I think in life, I think that relates so much to life.
Yeah, a lot of life lessons to be learned there, and with your staff, and I know many of them personally, a great group of guys with a great attitude, a Christian, solid faith that you try to expound to the kids, and just a way to show them to grow up, to mature into young men and young ladies that will be great community members.
Yeah, I mean, with our we live in a pocket where we can have kind of a faith-based approach to things, and I'm very grateful to be able to do that, and I don't shy away from that. And I screw up every day, so sometimes that bites me in the butt. But at the end of the day, yeah, we want to win matches, but the percentages show, less than 2% of all high school athletes are ever going to go to college and do this, and even less than that are going to make a living doing it. But they're all going to be in society. So, you know, if we can put some kids on the podium, and then we can better our community through great young men and women. Who have coaches like myself, that have had coaches like Coach Logsdon and Coach Jackson and Coach Belcher model for me how to be a good dude. In the words of Chief always said, just be a good human, big guy.
Yeah.
Hey, be a big good human, big guy.
And he was one of the great.
And he was a great human.
Yes, he was.
So that's what we're after. And if we can win some, we've won a few state titles.
Oh, yeah.
We don't plan on not winning some in the near future. So there's a transactional side, and then there's a transformational side, but we sure do like it when we win along the way.
Well, just keep that big Bear train rolling.
You got it, man. Yes, sir.
Been Coach Ben Smith here on the Bear Network, talking about Bradley Central Wrestling. We appreciate your time today, Coach. And until later, we'll say, Sarah, the little one's coming.
It's coming.
Get
January
ready for it.
23rd.
January 23rd.
Little Bearette.
Little Bear, there you go.
She won't be tall enough to play basketball.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Coach, thanks a lot. This has been your host, Gary Ownbey. For so long for now, God bless, and go Bears.